Forex traders, and welcome back to my screens. So in today's video we're going to be looking at some analysis on some pairs for the week. So we are looking at what a weekly analysis of what some major pairs. Okay, so the trades that I have lined up this week are AUD USD, GBP USD, and then what USD JPY. I said AUD USD, GBP USD, and then USD JPY. Those are the pairs that I'm going to be looking at. So let's start off with AUD USD. And as always, we start from the monthly time frame. As always, we start from the monthly time frame. All right. So, like you can see on the monthly time frame, we have our zones, our support and resistance zones plotted out beautifully. Right now, our price is actually bouncing off a resistance trend line beautifully. Price retested the resistance trend line. So you have the first touch, second touch, and then the third touch. So this is telling us that what price is flowing south. This is telling us that what price is flowing south on the monthly time frame. Great. So monthly time frame is telling us that price is flowing south. Let's move on to the weekly time frame and then we see what we could get from there. So on the weekly time frame too, we can see that price is flowing south, making a lower high, and then currently ranging between what this high and what this low. So we have a range in between what this high, from this high right here to what to the low right here. Talking about this, so to the low right here, we have price ranging between what that zone. Okay, and like we can see too, we have a resistance zone here that price is bouncing off, and then price is giving us this good beautiful candlestick pattern. All right, a bearish, three bullish, and a what a bearish. So we call these a falling what three, a falling tree. All right, some have other names for it, but then I prefer to call it a falling tree candlestick pattern. And then it is a bearish reversal pattern. All right. A bearish reversal pattern. So which is telling us that what we should equally be looking for what? For sales, or we should be looking to ride the trend south. All right. Okay. Then we move on to the daily time frame. Even before we move on to the daily time frame, we can see that the weekly time frame also have a support trend line here with a first touch, second touch, and then a third touch around here. And then price is currently giving us what? A break of what? That support trend line. Meanwhile, when you zoom into this candlestick, we can see that what? This bearish candlestick right here is an engulfing candlestick. It engulfed this bullish candlestick. All right. So everything is telling us that what? We should be looking for sales. You should be looking for sales. You should be looking for what? Sales. Great. So, like you can see, price is bouncing off a monthly resistance trend line, bouncing off a weekly resistance zone, all right, giving us what? A bearish what? Engulfing candle. Are we following? Breaking a weekly support trend line. All right. So I mean, all our conferences are in place for sales, but then we cannot take trade on the weekly time frame. So we need to switch off to the daily time frame to see it more clearer. All right. So on the daily time frame right here, we can see that from here, price was making a retracement of higher high, higher low, higher high, and then the higher high is what resisted from the trend line, and then what this weekly resistance zone, right? Then we can see that there was a resistance trend line, that a resistance zone here on the daily time frame, all right, which prices was retesting. However, price broke the resistance zone, as we can see now. So this daily candle has broken what's this support trend line, okay, and it has equally broken what this zone, but we need to wait for the close of the day, all right, before. So let's switch on to the 4-hour time frame and see if we can spot an entry from there. If we cannot spot an entry, then we have to wait for what? For some criteria to be met before what? We enter our trade. Are we following? So right here, we equally have a fair value gap, a daily fair value gap here in with this gray rectangular bar here. We can see that we have what? A bearish engulfing candle here. Sorry, we have a fair value gap, a daily fair value gap here. We have a daily fair value gap here. So I mean, we should equally be paying attention to that. Now, for the fair value gap, some people have some concepts that they use to define the fair value gap, and then in my case, it's a bit different, right? So in as much as we have for fair value gaps, it is gaps created by prices between what? Three candlesticks, all right? So which means that this candlestick, this is the low of the candlestick, and then this is the middle candlestick, and this is the third candlestick. Now, the middle candlestick, if there is any space left in between the middle candlestick, and if there's any space left, all right, which is not covered by the first candlestick and then the third candlestick, then we consider that as a fair value gap that has to be filled before price continue on moving in its direction. Some people uses the four candlestick pattern, right, which means that they are going to be drawing their what fair value gap from around here. So they will only have this small zone as the fair value gap. You get it. So everybody with their own, but then I prefer to what to give an extension to mine to what the third candlestick here. All right. So let's now move on to the 4 hour time frame and see if we can spot an entry there too. All right, so on the 4 hour time frame, we can see that price actually broke this resistance trend line, this support trend line with this bearish engulfing candlestick. Now, this bearish engulfing candlestick, like you can see, engulfed how many candles? It engulfs what? Three good candles, which is this very one, the second one, and this one, which means that what momentum is very high here. Are we following? That is on the 4 hour time frame. That is on the 4 hour time frame. So now that price is breaking from there, we would expect somewhat a retracement, right? We expect something like a retracement to this zone, okay, before we sell off to this area. Okay, we'll be expecting a retracement to this zone before we sell off to this area. Or we expect what? A retracement to the daily fair value gap before we sell off to what? To this area. Now, when the retracement happens, what would give us or what would prompt us to enter the trade? What would prompt us to enter the trade is a candlestick pattern. All right, so I trade three main candlestick patterns, and these three main candlestick patterns are a bearish engulfing candle, a morning star. Are we following? A bearish engulfing candle, a bearish engulfing candle in a sales, an evening star in a sales, or a bearish what? Spin bar, a very significant spin bar. So when I see these candlesticks print at the zone that price is expected to retrace from, then I will take the trade. All right. So this is going to be what my outlook on what AUD/USD. We are expecting sales to happen at either this zone here or this zone. Okay. So we will wait for it and see what happens. All right. So I will keep you updated with everything that happens. It might not be on the YouTube channel, but then I'll leave a link in the description of this video to our Telegram channel where we do post signals of when these trades are ready with the candlestick confirmations and everything, with your stop loss intact and your take profits and then all that. So please do yourself a favor, join the link, join the Telegram channel, join the arena of traders on Telegram, and then what? Let's roll. So the next pair that we're going to be looking at is GBP USD. The next pair that we are going to be looking at is GBP USD. All right, so GBP USD to let's move on to the monthly time frame as always. So on the monthly time frame of GBP USD, our zones are beautifully plotted. We have our support, our resistance, and all that. So we can see that price is equally bouncing off a resistance zone here too. All right, and then this is also giving us an engulfing candle kind of a pattern. All right. Now let's switch off to the weekly time frame. So on the weekly time frame, this is interesting. On the weekly time frame, what candlestick pattern is this that have been formed? What candlestick pattern is this? What candlestick pattern is this? I'm talking about this right here, these three candlestick patterns. What candlestick pattern is this? So this is a morning star. All right, that candlestick pattern is an evening star. Okay, an evening star. All right, that is an evening star. A bullish, then a bullish, and then what? A bearish. All right, a small bullish here, and then what? A bearish. Okay. All right, so this is our evening star, indicating that price is going to be selling And this is on a weekly time frame. So that is a clear point to us that price is going to be selling for a very, very long time, right? Price is going to be selling for a very, very long time. Now, if we should pay keen attention to, you realize that what price broke this what inner trend line. Price broke this inner trend line. And this will be clear on the daily time frame. So let's switch off to the daily time frame. Price is also at a monthly resistance zone. All right. So let's move on to the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, like we said earlier, you realize that what price broke this support trend line here, price broke this support trend line, and then all that we should be waiting for right now is a retest of the trend line. Now, note that this is a monthly resistance zone, so it is a very strong zone. All right, it's a very strong zone. So, like always, from the weekly time frame without evening star form, we should just be looking for sells, sells, sells. You can have buys, but then I wouldn't advise taking the trade for the buys because it is just a minor pullback. It is just a minor retracement, and then you don't want to be flowing against what you don't want to be jumping into the trade against the trend. The trend is your friend, as we always say. Okay, so which means that we should be expecting a retracement to this level. You should be expecting a retracement to this level. Then we sell off to this trend line even before we come here. Okay, so a retracement to this level, then we sell off to what? To this trend line, see support trend line here before we come to this, and what we flow. So we're just going to flow, and then it is a swing trade. You understand? All right. So let's move on to the 4-hour time frame and see what we could get from there. Okay, so here we are on the 4-hour time frame. Here we are on the 4-hour time frame. So on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that it's not so much different from what we saw earlier. It is not so much different from what we saw earlier. So like I said, we should be looking for a retracement. Okay, should be looking for a retracement to around this zone and what selling off to this daily support zone here and what to this trend line. Okay, now mind you, we had a break of structure here. We had a break of structure here. Now, when you see that we have that break of structure, there is a fair value gap around this level. All right, let me just take these and then mark it out. There is a fair value gap around this level right here. Like change this color to gray. All right, so there is a fair value gap. Let me open it up for you guys to see a bit more clearer. So there's a fair value gap around this zone. Okay, there's a fair value gap around that zone, so we should be expecting price to come all the way to pick up what trades that have been left in this area before the sell off. All right, to pick up trades that have been left in that area before the sell off, if you take our Fibonacci 2 and then we draw from what swing high, Fibonacci here, we draw from swing high to swing low around here, you realize that our price is, or our entry is going to be what in the premium zone, which means that what we are still following the right track of the trade. All right, so that is what we have there on GBP USD. That's what we have there on GBP USD. So we are expecting a retracement to this zone, all right, to either the fair value gap here, which is closer to the trend line. Then if you see a bearish engulfing candle, if you should see an evening star, or if you see a bearish pin bar, then we're going to take our trade and sell it off to the downside. All right, and sell it off to the downside. Know that we are only looking for what sells, sell, 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 sells. That is all we are looking for on GBP USD, just like we saw on AUD USD. Now, you should know that GBP USD and AUD USD are USD based pairs. All right, that is, they have USD in their pairs, but then the USD is what their quotes currency. If you haven't watched my video on quotes and then what base currencies, I'll link a link in the description. Follow through and then watch that video. You will best understand what I'm trying to talk about in this space right here. Okay, so that is all for GBP USD. That is all for GBP USD. The next trade that we have lined up, or the next trade that we're looking at this week, is USD JPY. USD JPY. So let's now ride on to USD JPY very quickly. USD JPY very quickly. All right, so this is USD JPY. As always, we start from the monthly time frame. Great. So here we are on USD JPY. Here we are on USD JPY, the United States dollars versus the Japanese yen. All right. Okay, so here too, price is bullish, has been bullish for quite some time now with high lows, high highs, high lows, now a higher high, making a higher low kind of a thing. All right, so this is the monthly time frame. We cannot do much. This is the monthly time frame. Then we move on to the weekly time frame. All right, so on the weekly time frame, there is something interesting happening here. We realize that our price broke this trend line, which is on a trend line on the monthly time frame, and price is making a retracement after it touches what a support zone, a weekly support zone. It is making one a retracement. This was also a support zone. All right, this was also yes, a support zone that has turned to a resistance zone, now broken, and price is moving all the way to the upside. Now, mind you, I believe you can see this fair value gap also left at the top here. Between these and then these, there is a fair value gap left here. Let me just help you out with it. So there is a fair value gap left all the way here, right? And that fair value gap is in line with what? Where our price is supposed to go. Is in line with what? The trend line that price is going to what? To retrace against. All right. So which is telling us clearly that price will definitely come there before moving. Look at this very bullish and engulfing candle. All right. Look at this bullish engulfing candle, just with the aim of pushing price to what? To that zone, pushing price to that zone before the sales come in. So that is what the weekly time frame is also telling us. We switch off swiftly to the daily time frame and see what we can make from there. So on the daily time frame, like we said earlier on the daily time frame, like we said early on, our zones are there. And then we have price breaking off or breaking out of this resistance trend line, right? Breaking out of this resistance trend line and then in anticipation to move to the zone. Okay, in anticipation to move to the zone. Even on the daily time frame, we can still see our fair value gap right here. We can still see our fair value gap right here, which is still in line with what? With our trend line that is being retraced to, or that price is retracing to. Okay, the price is retracing to. So, and I mean, in as much as we are seeing more of like sales here, we should just wait for price to move to our entry zone or to our points of entry. It gives us our candlestick patterns, and then we take our trade. So we switch off swiftly to the 4-hour time frame too. Okay, so on the 4-hour time frame, like always, price is still on the move towards to that zone. Price is still on the move to that zone. So we just let price play out beautifully. Price is still, sorry guys, price is still on the move to that zone. Price is still on the move to that zone. So it now broke out of here, giving us a high, a low, a high. Now coming back for a low before moving to that zone. So I mean, we don't touch it. We just let it move all the way to our zone. Then we take our entry from there. So USD JPY, we should be looking for sales in the long run. We should be looking for sales in the long run. There is a short-term buy trade that is coming up. There is a short-term buy trade that is coming up, but we should be looking for what sales in the long run. Now, look at how this price is forming here. Price is forming a somewhat a bullish flag around this level. Price is forming a kind of a bullish flag around this level. This will be much more clearer if we should switch off to the lower time frames. If you switch off to the lower time frames, we will see it much more clearer. So let me just switch off to the 1 hour time frame and let's see if we can be able to identify this flag pattern. Great. So this flag pattern is becoming quite obvious on the what? On the 1 hour time frame. So I mean, we should just be expecting something like this. I mean, a break, a retest, then move to our zone. But I am not interested in taking a trade like this. I'm not interested in taking a trade like this. I'll wait for the big moves rather. All right. I'll wait for the big moves because this is quite dangerous because you are now trading against the trend, which you shouldn't do. That is why we analyze from the higher time frame all the way down to the lower time frame. So, I mean, we should actually wait for the big moves. Why? Why can we make thousands of pips and then we wouldn't be patient and then we want to make 20 pips, 50 pips from there. No, it is not what there is. So we would wait rather for the big moves to happen. We will wait rather for the big moves to happen. So that is it for us traders. That is it for this week. That is all my analysis for this week. Those are the pairs that I'm watching carefully. And then once they give me the entry criteria, we go in, we bag, and what? We go home. Now, don't fall straight. Allow the market to play out. Let the market do its own thing. You cannot make any change to the market. So the amount that we're trading in this market as retail traders is not enough to push the market. There are big banks in the market, like the Japanese yen, the banks in Japanese yen, the banks in the United States, and all that. So, and any one of these traders um, trade plays in the opposite direction of your trade, it can cause a lot of things to go bad. That is why we always like to follow the trend. We always like to what? To ride with what? The flow. So allow the market to play out. Just make yourself available. If it gives you the opportunity, get into it. The opportunity defines your edge, get into it. Take the trade without relenting. All right, trade the trade and what? And go home. So that is it, guys, for today. If you haven't joined our Telegram channel yet, please do yourself a favor. The link is in the description. The link is in the description. Follow the link, tap the link, and what? Join the Telegram channel so that what we can all grow together as what? As individuals. If you like this video and you want to see more of this analysis and many other educational tips on forex trading, then do yourself a favor, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it to friends who will be interested, and share to friends who are interested in what? In gaining financial freedom in what? In this year 2024. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the flip side.